Hello everyone, this will probably be a pretty short video, but I would just like to show you an elevator that I made because I think it's a really good example of how powerful the /execute and /data commands can be when used together. And also, I'm sorry, I'm feeling a little bit sick, so if I sound kind of stuffed up, that's probably why. Now, to be fair, the elevator itself here is not actually that interesting, but the way you select the floor is. So if we just go in here and open up this chest, it's filled with stacks of paper. And if we pick up the one with, say, 13 pieces of paper in it, then you can see we actually get teleported to floor 13. And that doesn't just work for floor 14. If we go back to the chest, we can also go up to, say, floor 54. Or if we want to, we could also go back down to floor 1. And so that will work for any of the pieces of paper in there, and you can go to any of the stories in this tower that you like. What's really nice about this setup is that it's actually relatively simple. It only uses 3 commands, but it's kind of hard to see them in the command blocks here, so to explain them, I'm going to open them up in a separate document. Now before you set up any command blocks, you're going to want to run these 2 commands just in the chat. First, /scoreboard objectives add elevator dummy. And what that's doing is it's creating a scoreboard objective called elevator, and type dummy only means that it can only be edited by commands. Next, run /summon armor stand ~0 custom name elevator man, no gravity 1. And what that's going to do is create an armor stand named elevator man. Not really sure why I picked that name. I think I couldn't think of anything better at the moment, and it didn't really matter. But anyway, the armor stand will also have no gravity. So let's break down this first command. Whenever you see a /execute command, look for everything after where it says run in order to see what the command is actually doing. So in this case, what we have is clear @s paper display name elevator paper 1. So to translate, what that's going to do is that's going to clear one piece of paper named elevator paper from the person running the command. Now you may be thinking, but actually the command block is just running the command. Well, not actually, because what as @a means is basically run this command for every player as if they were the ones running it. So what that means is that now when it says @s, actually all it means is the player rather than the command block, because it says as @a. And so that leaves just this last part, store result score @s elevator. Well, elevator is the name of that scoreboard objective that we created earlier. And what store result is doing is it's saying, okay, whatever comes after run is going to have some numerical value associated with it. In this case, it's the number of pieces of paper being cleared from the person. And so that's going to be either a 1 or a 0. 1 if they have any of the paper, because it can only clear up to 1 piece of paper, and 0 if they have no paper. And where does it store that value? Well, it stores it in the person running the command @s's elevator value. And all an elevator is it's just an objective that keeps track of who actually has any paper, so that it's not trying to teleport anyone who hasn't taken any paper from the chest. Alright, this next command is probably the most complicated, but I'm still going to do my best just to break it down piece by piece to make it as easy to understand as possible. So again, when you see /execute, it's best to look for everything after run to see what it's doing. And once again, it's actually clearing some paper named elevator paper from a player. But in this case, it's @p scores equals elevator equals 1. So what that's saying is clear some paper from the nearest person who has an elevator score of 1. So combined with the last command, what this does is it makes sure that it only does this for people who had some paper to begin with. Also, it's again a store result command, but this time instead of storing the result into a scoreboard objective, it's storing it into an entity. So what this is doing is it'll store the result into the nearest armor stand whose name is elevator man. It'll store it into their pause 1 value. And pause is short for position, and 1 means the second value of their position. So when positions are stored, they are stored as three numbers, x, y, and z, and when you have an array of numbers like this, you start counting from 0. So x is 0, that means that y is 1, so pos 1 means that you'll be modifying the y value of this armor stand. And then double you just need to have because position values that are stored as what's called a double. It's just a kind of variable, don't worry about that. And 4 means multiply the number by 4 before storing it in the armor stand's position value. And the reason for that is that means that since there are 4 blocks between every floor, you are making it so that every piece of paper will make the armor stand 4 blocks higher rather than just 1 block higher, which means that you end up actually on a floor rather than like in between floors somehow. So to summarize, if that was a little bit complicated, what it's doing is it's taking away some number of papers from the nearest player and storing that number of papers as the armor stand's height. Finally, the last command is a little bit simpler than the second one, so hopefully it'll be a bit easier to understand. It is, once again, a /execute command, so I recommend looking for everything after the run part, which in this case is tp@e scores equals elevator equals 1, 24, tilde 4, 160. And so what that is going to do in simpler terms is teleport every player with an elevator score of 1, so everyone who had some paper to begin with, to 4 blocks above something and at the x and z positions of 24 and 160. Now, the tilde is saying 4 blocks above something, as I mentioned, and in this case, what that is it's our armor stand named Elevator Man. And so that's what execute at means, is it's saying the position of the command is the same as the position of Elevator Man, which means that you'll be teleported 4 blocks above Elevator Man, and 24 and 160 are just the x and z coordinates of my elevator. So that means that I actually end up inside of the elevator instead of somewhere else. So if you were running this command for yourself, the things you would need to change are you would need to change this number and this number to match the x and z, and you would need to change this number to match the y level of the bottom floor of your elevator. And yeah, that's about it. This whole setup is a little bit complicated, so hopefully it made some amount of sense with my explanation, but if it didn't, feel free to leave me any questions down in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. And with that, I think we're all done here, so thank you for watching.